You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the June 19th meeting of the Michigan City Port Authority Commission. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
The Michigan City Port Authority Board of Directors meeting, June 19th. I call the meeting to order. And I'm looking for approval or corrections to June 5th meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from June 5th, 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. Reports from the Harbor Master, Mr. Frank.
All right, this past week, and you'll see it in the bills, we had a marina attendant training course given by Greg Klang. His dad started a company some years ago, and according to Mr. Klang, we've used him about every 5 years. So they come in with a bunch of hands-on items that you're going to run into at a marina as a marina attendant, right? So he's got a handful of lines, shows you how to tie lines. They go out and practice tying off on a cleat. They go over what the fuel nozzle looks like, what the diesel nozzle looks like, what the fuel cap looks like, whether it's diesel or gas or water or pump out. They go over the pump out stuff. They go over how fire extinguishers work. They go over how marine radio works. They cover a whole bunch of stuff. He keeps them from 8 in the morning till 5 in the evening, going through this whole class. At the end of it, they get a little certificate that says they took the class. Over the years, it seems like our summer help does better when they've had that class. So periodically we run the class. So we did that last Thursday. We had 8 people take the class. I think the majority of them found it interesting. And so we'll see how they do after that. As far as launching boats goes, that's down to a trickle, just a few stragglers. Everything else is normal. We're in our regular summer routine. One of the things that pops up periodically is our internet and the quality of our internet. So I ran off the summary report for the last 30 days. So starting today, going back 30 days. And any of you want to look at this, I can email it to you, or you can have that one. But the highlights of it. So over the last 30 days, we used 8.21 terabytes of data. Now, I don't know how to relate that to a tangible thing, but 1,000 megabytes is a gigabyte, and 1,000 gigabytes is a terabyte. And we were at 8.25 terabytes over a 30-day period. So the top 3 antennas that we have out here where that data was used, and all 3 of these were each over a terabyte by themselves. The 700 East, which is the furthest one east, there are 4 towers on the 700 dock. So 700 East, 500 East, there's 2 towers on the 500 dock. And the 200 North tower, there's 2 towers on the 200 dock. All 3 of those each used over a terabyte of data over that 30-day period. Over that same 30-day period, we had 1,282 unique clients. So unique devices tapped into our system, be it a phone, a tablet, whatever.
How many?
1,282 over that 30-day period. That's an average of 357 clients per day. And each of those would have used 6.5 gigabytes of data each, over that, per day, over that 30 days to get there. 92.25% of that traffic was categorized as other and as video. And I think the other is also primarily video. Because when you get into the applications where it tells you what exactly it is, the number 1 was miscellaneous secure web. which I think is what comes up when you have one of your little, like Ring cameras going, something similar to that. The number 2 biggest thing was Netflix. And the third application was something called UDP, which I'm not sure what that is, but those were the 3 top applications. So somebody is using quite a bit of data. Out of that, on the 29th, which was Memorial Day, our bandwidth was 671% higher than the previous 10 Mondays. So there were a lot of people here on Memorial Day. And we had 13 clients that used more than 100 gigabytes of data each. So when we hear that our internet isn't up to par, somebody's using it, right? When we get into what kind of devices that are being used, we have a couple of routers, we have Windows 10, we have Windows XP, 3 of those, we have 3 Windows 8, we have 1 Windows 7. So we can't really control what device you're using to access the internet, but in some cases that might have to do with why your speed is not up to par, is because you're using an old device. But anyway, I thought that you would find that interesting. And any of you that want to dig into the numbers more, I can email you that report and you can poke around on it. And that's all I have. So,
We all pay for internet. What do we pay for internet?
is it like 500 a month? 500 a month. Because we have a 1 gigabyte connection.
So special one year, that'll pay all year long.
Right.
That was a special one we signed up for.
Yeah.
That's a really good deal. For,
Quite honestly,
yeah, that's a really good deal. If me and 4 other people are paying $100 a month a household for the home marina.
Yep.
Yeah, I got very interesting what you read. And like, probably you'd have you bring that to our first staff rep meeting and maybe go through it with the people in attendance, if it's okay. Okay.
Yeah, oh yeah, we
I
can.
can get that out. The other thing to work on, I didn't get the guy's name to put on the course.
Oh, Jack, Greg Klang. The dad was Jack, the son's name is Greg, and he took over.
I bet his middle initial was
Greg
S.
Klang, K-L-A-N-G, GSK Enterprises or whatever is what shows up on the, on the bill.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
are people outside of the marina able to tap into our?
Only if they have that password.
Right, they should not be able to, for 2 reasons. It is password protected,
Okay.
but it's not a super hard password to guess. And the way we position the towers, by the time you get to the fence line, you should be losing signal.
Okay.
So when we originally did it, one of the mistakes we made in novices, we put our towers around the perimeter. And so half our signal was coming into the marina and half was going out into the park.
Right, I got great service on the pier.
So a couple of years ago, when IT and us and Meraki really got to looking at it and we rearranged it and added some towers, we moved all the towers in and spaced them out so that they would overlap, but that the edge of their usable signal was our perimeter. So it will overlap because it's not a hard cutoff, but you should be losing signal strength when you pass the fence.
Thank you.
Have we thought about putting like a session time limit on the Wi-Fi? I know some hotels they'll have it for like 12 hours and you have to re-sign in.
Well, what I plan to do with that, since I think an awful lot of our internet problem is the people's security cameras and just having stuff streaming in the background,
Yeah.
I'm going to talk to the IT department and we can limit or restrict or throttle that to some extent.
If it gets to the really bad point
Right.
again, okay.
Yeah, but I'll let them look at it and see what their advice is on that.
We should probably change the password just to roll off anybody that might still have it.
Right.
That's not here. Anything else from Mr. Frank?
Well, we may not want to discourage people from using Ring cameras, because we do encourage
The
that voters. to
first thing we would do with that would be to request that they make sure it's set to motion, motion activation, not just continuous. There's a couple in there that, looking at the amount of data they're using, they gotta be continuously streaming.
Yeah, probably at 1080p
Could be,
or higher.
yeah.
Turn a movie on and then they don't pay any attention to it, it just runs all day.
Just for the background.
Yeah.
Anything else from Mr. Frank? All right. Ms. Palicki, reports from the Assistant Harbor Master Administration.
I just wanted to remind everybody that the July meetings are gonna be the 2nd and the 3rd Monday, that'll be the 10th and 24th. And we're preparing for the 4th of July weekend, which for us will probably last 4 days from the 1st until after the 4th fireworks are done. And the next payroll for the board will be July 7th. And that's all I have. That's it. Just have questions.
Anybody for Mr. Palicki? Anything? No? All right. Seeing none, Mr. Ferguson, Budget and Financial Oversight, Review and Approval of the bill to be paid.
Thank you, Mr. President. The breakdown sheet, that lists everything we're going to be talking about. The summary sheet, if you have it, might be just a little confusing for a second. But all the details are in here. Now let's take a look at the summary sheet. We got the big items that show total 58,000 and change. And what do we call those? EFTs?
You know, the transfers.
Yeah, the EFT payment register, another 12,449. There's an additional, on the summary sheet, there's an additional $5,600 of smaller items. That's not shown here, but are shown on the detail, which we're not gonna bother bringing up. But the total we're looking at is $63,626.98. So let's take a look at some of the major ones on the summary sheet, starting with the GSK Enterprises that Tim just talked about. That's training, coming down, Water Department, credit card. If anybody has any questions on what the credit card supplies are, Mary Ann can help us with that. Obviously excavating, we got a couple police securities, electrical parts. Anything particularly of those MB Electric repairs?
And most of it is some repairs at Trail Creek on the docks.
Obviously fuel there for 20,000. Trash, Republic Services for trash, and some lawn care. So all those total on this page, the 58,020, and the EFTs of 12,849, but there's another 5,600 that are only shown on the detail. So, with that being said, I'll make a motion that we pay the bills totaling $63,626.98.
Second?
Any questions? Everybody good? All in favor?
Aye.
And bills. All right, Mr. Haynes, claims and insurance.
I've not heard of anything, so I've got nothing to report.
Fire report operation personnel, seems that personnel are going good. I've had good compliments on some of the people we've hired, so that's good. Haven't heard anybody getting mad at the gas dock lately, so it's good to hear. So I really don't have anything else to go over, so I'm gonna move on unless someone has a question. To Mr. Messina, voter communication and special events.
Prior to the meeting started, I talked to Mrs. Pilecki and Mr. Frame on a couple of items. Maybe everybody should be aware, on the 400 dock, there was one board that started splitting out pretty bad. So Mr. Frame said we'll get that probably replaced this week. We also talked about signage that we had talked about in the past, and the insured me that those will be taken care of very soon. So, besides that, I really have nothing else.
When's I think you were discussing it. When is the next dock web meeting?
Well, I think it's gonna be the first Saturday of July, which will be during the holiday weekend. We felt more people would be down here and be present. And it's gonna be 9 o'clock.
That is
That's
July 2nd?
We've got
That's the first.
first Saturday, yeah.
9 o'clock, you say?
9 o'clock. There will be a letter sent out very, very shortly, probably to all boaters, to see who's interested in being a dock rep on their dock, or two reps. And then if we get more than one per dock, I guess we'll just select the one we want, and if it doesn't look like it's too many out of line, we'll just accept everybody that wants to come in. And I'll get with Mr. Frame and Mr. Socrates prior to go over an agenda to make sure that we have something to talk about.
Any questions for Mr. Messina? Anything else? All good? All right, moving on to Mr. Master Planning. Mr. Maynard, Master Planning and Special Project Park Liaison.
I have something for the park liaison, and it might have already been taken care of, but they discussed that there was graffiti on the lighthouse, and I know that we take turns painting over that. The Port Authority does it one time, and the park board does it another time. I don't know if it's still there. Is it still there, Phil?
I haven't heard.
Haven't heard? So maybe we need to look into whose turn that is and find out whether we have to paint it or whether the park board has to paint it.
I think we have extra paint from the last time we stored it someplace, just to get the right color.
The other thing is, I'd like to make a motion to untable the Sprague Point bathhouse, which is tabled right now, and I need a second for that.
Second.
Thank you. It seems that we couldn't talk about it until we opened it. Thank you. It seems that there's not much interest in that bathhouse. I think our president has asked for volunteers to serve on a committee, and nobody volunteered to do that. So at this time, I would assume that we should probably just take it off the table. I'd like to make a motion to remove the Sprague Point restroom bathhouse from our agenda, as long as Blue Chip allows us to use the facility on their property. If something happens that we can't use that facility, we might have to reissue this thing and go through it. So I'd like to make that motion that we just remove it.
Question?
Yes.
I did not remember that you were asking for volunteers for your meeting. I apologize if I didn't hear that the last time. If you want to have a meeting even after we pull that off or so, I'd be glad to sit down with some others and just discuss that. I don't have anything particular to say that we don't already know, but I'll be more than happy to sit
Well,
down.
like I said the last time I brought this up, was I had a tremendous amount of information on everything that we did and what we went through and so forth and so on. And we got, it was okayed by the board, but we never voted on that. I think we did vote on that. They passed that. Yeah, they did. They passed that. I'll just read this for you. Sprague Point bath restrooms. This is a little history of it. We hired DH2 Roger Protraz on March the 15th of 2018. Excuse me, I have allergies. We paid him $6,581.25 for drilling. He gave us on 10/8/2018. We hired Edgewater Resources, Colin Hassinger, for project review, who made an observation of the 10/8/2018 drawings. The findings were found to be inadequate on code and other reviews. Edgewater then made a proposal on March the 14th, 2019, and again on June the 10th, 2021, with a final bid that was accepted and signed by Tim Frame. Everything stopped at that point as the mayor, Dwayne Perry, requested we contact Blue Chip to acquire the old restroom on their property, as well as COVID restrictions. Well, of course, we've gone through that whole thing with Blue Chip, and we haven't gotten any success with them out of that. We talked about how we would have to buy the whole peninsula and so forth and so on. I don't know if you want to discuss that anymore, whether you just want to take my recommendation to, just take it off of the, it doesn't look like the board is interested to me, and maybe we could talk about that. Is anybody interested in that? Would anybody support that? Okay.
The back house and the property, the whole ball of wax. I think Joe's briefed us quite a bit over the last 6-8 months. If they're not gonna talk, we most, from what I understand, we're not really interested at all in proceeding with anything.
We were waiting for Blue Chip.
Yeah, but they haven't.
And they have never done anything about it. And Joe says he doesn't want to open up a can of worms,
Right.
and I don't blame him.
Let the sleeping dog lie.
Let the sleeping dog lie, so I stand by my motion, and I just need a second to remove it.
I think I seconded.
Oh, did you?
I will if no one else will.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Anything else, Mr. Mayor?
Hi.
Thank you.
I did listen.
Okay. No, that's all. That's all I have.
No problem. Ms. Buchner,
Nothing needs to report at this time.
last time, I need it spelled so I can practice for next time.
Yeah, well, it's staying the same. Staying the same.
I was just saying the same,
Yeah.
okay, just making sure.
It's not to shorten the first part a little bit.
All right. And, well, the best report of the day, Mr. Zachman, attorney's report.
And it's gonna be one of the shortest. Got nothing new to report.
Nothing new to report.
Sweet.
That's good.
That's a real one.
Any new business? Anything? No? All right, old business, we're good there. Mr. Freeze, do you have anything to?
Nothing, no, just along for the ride.
All right.
I have a comment to Mr. Freeze. I'm a beach person, always have been. I love the Port Authority, but I also love the beach. And we love those blue plastic walkways up and down, all the way down to Sheridan Beach. I tell you, they are fun. Get a little older, like people like me, and it just makes the beach a little more easily accessible. But we were also down at the public beach today, my wife and I, right down here. It was really nice.
I got some.
Yes,
Yeah, I'd also like to address to Mr. Frame.
please.
I was absolutely amazed at what took place at the park board. I should say the park itself, and what the park board did in terms of the Sand Festival and also the Juneteenth. What did they call that? Where they had for the gays and the Pride. Thank you. I couldn't think of it. And the Pride. I think when that Pride thing first started, it was like 4 or 5 people there, booths, and hardly anybody there. And in a matter of a few years, it was absolutely amazing what they had down there. Everything went perfect. I think it went smooth. I think the food was fantastic. The music. It was very, very well done. And I'd like you to take that back to the board from me personally, from the Port Authority. Okay?
I will, yeah, Wednesday.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I also have a comment about Washington Park launch ramp. It looks fantastic, all the poles and things that's been done down there, and you can tell that people appreciate it and they use it. It's well done.
Nice.
I agree.
Anybody else, anything? No?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
There we go.